So now that your mixed media piece is dry, you are going to turn it over backwards, and you're going to be given two stencils, a square stencil and a triangle stencil. And these are going to be used to help create the pages to the inside of your explosion book. Because if you remember, your book either has square sections or triangle sections. So these stencils are slightly smaller than the actual page itself because it's gonna, you're gonna see the paper of the construction color around the artwork. So it's gonna kind of have this border of whatever color you chose for your book. So if you look at your explosion book, you have 4 squares going across the center, and then you have 6 triangles on the top and 6 triangles on the bottom. So that's how many pieces that you're gonna need to cut out of your mixed media collage paper. So what you need to account for is 5 squares and 12 triangles to fit on your mixed media paper. So you're going to turn your mixed media paper upside down. And this is an example of how you have to be able to fit 5 squares and 12 triangles on the back side. So you're going to get 1 square and 1 triangle to use as a stencil. So what I would do is take that square and set it close to the top edge, or if you want to do less cutting, line it up directly on the edge of your paper on 2 sides. Then use a pencil to trace the other 2 sides. So that is your first square. And you might write the number 1 on the inside so that you can keep track as you're counting. If you are a careful cutter, you could just cut right on that line and have that edge make up your next square. If you have an unsteady hand, then I would slide the square over so there's a little bit of a gap, and then I would line it up along that top edge and now trace your square again. And that's number 2. You need a total of 5. So you should be able to fit at least 4 squares along the top edge of this paper. So this is 3, 4. And then I might put number 5 down low. Again, if I want to do less cutting, I'm going to line it up on a straight edge on my paper. And then I'm going to trace these 3 sides. So this is now my 5th square. Now I'm ready to work on my triangles. And the triangles were made simply by cutting a square on the diagonal. So I'm going to position that triangle to make up half of a square, and I'm going to trace the stencil. Then I'm going to flip the stencil over so it makes up the other half of the square. Again, if you have a very steady hand and you can cut exactly on that line, then you can line up your stencil right on the edge and just trace the other 2 sides. But if you want to be more cautious, then I would move that stencil over just a little bit and trace all 3 sides. And again, I like to number these just so I can keep track of how many I've already traced, because I need to get to 12 stencils. So a part of this project is an element of surprise. This is a mixed media abstract work of art. So if it's abstract, it's not supposed to look like anything in particular. So I'm not sure what I'm going to see when I actually cut this out. It's going to be a surprise to me when I cut the edge and I turn it over and see what portion of my mixed media piece was left. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm halfway there. So I'm going to keep tracing until I get all the way to 12. Again, if I want to do less cutting, I'm going to line this up on the edge of my paper where it's already a straight side and just trace the other two sides. And I'm going to continue to trace. Alright, so now that I have all of my pieces traced out, I have 5 squares and 12 triangles. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to carefully begin cutting these out. So remember, with scissors, the circle is for your thumb, that goes on top. The jelly bean shape is for the fingers that go underneath. You're going to get the best cut by opening the scissors wide and sticking your paper all the way down to where the blades of the scissors connect to do the cutting. So I'm all the way down where the blades connect, and I'm just going to hold that paper with my opposite hand, and I'm going to slowly begin to cut on that line. And I'm going to cut out all of my pieces to my book and save those in one pile on my desk.